In this video, we're going to configure the NAZCO Analysis application itself. As we get started, there are some additional functions and features that we need to be installed on the operating system. So we're going to start that by pressing the Windows and the R key, and in the dialog box that comes up, we're going to type app wiz.cpl, and since I spelled it wrong, that will teach me to spell it correctly. So we get this update, and then we select turn on Windows features on or off. And when this comes in, we're going to need to make sure that we select all of the Windows 2.0 and 3.0 things. Under 4.8 Advanced sections, we want ASP.NET, and we'll go ahead and select all of the options under WCF. And we're going to leave Internet Explorer, and then we're going to select Internet Information Services. And we're going to select everything but FTP service. And we'll turn on everything under Worldwide Web Services. Now, some of these features may not be used, but we want to make sure that they're enabled and available if required. The NAZCO Analysis project actually consists of three parts. The first part is the database for storing configurations, and the second part is a desktop application that gets the application up and running, checks for connection to the Pi server, and ensures that the web service is running. So we want to make sure that we have all of these features turned on. Okay, and once we've done that, this is where we have to have the connection to the internet, so that when we say OK, this is going to search for required files, and then it's going to go and download any files that it cannot find. So while this is doing that, I will pause the video until we're finished. So you can see that now it's applying changes. It's found all the files that it needs. And we'll wait for it to finish. Okay, now we have a message that the Windows completed the requested changes. We're going to say close. And at this point, we want to reboot the workstation to ensure that the changes take effect. So we'll go ahead and restart the workstation now. And it will be done in just a minute. Again, remember that this is being done on a virtual machine. Your actual workstation may start faster or slower than this virtual machine is starting. Now, in the next part, we're going to need to point to the Pi server. So it is a wise decision to make sure that you can ping the Pi server both by IP address and by node name. And to ping the node name, you have to go into the host file in Windows. So if I open the host file, go to this PC, local system disk, Windows. We're going to come down to System 32, Drivers, and then go to ETC, and we're going to open the host file. Now I use a utility called Notepad++, which we'll discuss in the video on optional installations. But if I open that, then you see that here I've added the IP address for my local Pi server and its name. So now if I open a command prompt, and I'm going to open this as administrator, now I can ping that IP address, which was 172.16.200.224, and you can see that I can find that. Now I'm going to ping that address by name, now if you don't get a response to the ping, then you have to check the firewall, and so we'll go up here to Control Panel, and we'll come down here to Windows Defender Firewall, and you'll see in my case that these are turned off. If you need to turn them off, if they're on, you go here to change Windows Firewall, and you can set them to off. Typically we set them to off because we're using firewalls, and they'll take care of any blocking that we need to have done. Now the next step, we're going to go back to the install kits. We have to be able to make a connection to the local Pi server. So you'll have to talk to the administrator of the local Pi server, and he'll have had to have provided a trust for your workstation IP address. Then you come down here to OSI Soft, and the first thing we have to do is the prerequisite standalone. And this only takes a few minutes to install. So it tells us that these 3.5 network and these redistributables are going to be installed, so we'll go ahead and say yes. So here it's saying that it wants this framework, so we'll say download and install this feature. So you can see again we're searching for the requested files. So this is going to download and install those files, and I'm going to pause the video while it does that. Okay, you can see that our installation was completed. So we can close that, and the next thing we need to install is the prerequisite patch. And that's finished. When that's finished, the next thing we want to do is install this PyPerfMon. This is going to make sure that we get some other necessary utilities installed for interfacing to the Pi server that are required. So again, I'm going to pause while here we're going to specify the default Pi server, which in the case of this example is NZC Pi sys. And we'll say next. And these are the default directories are acceptable. And it will now complete the installation. So I'm going to pause this while the installation completes. So now our installation of the performance monitor interface is complete. We click next and it tells us complete, and it shows us that all of these elements have been installed. Now at this point you want to reboot the computer. And I'm going to again pause while the reboot takes place. Okay, now that the system is rebooted, we want to come to the Start menu, come down to Pi System, and we want to start Pi SDK utility 64-bit. And we're going to come here to Connections. And you see it already has NZC Pi sys. We're going to click on that. And it tells us that it couldn't find the Pi server, which means that there is a possibility that the trust is not there. So I will check for. This is the end of part 1 of the NAZCO Analysis installation. Please continue with the next video for the second phase of installation of the NAZCO Analysis Tool.